to Does anyone else ever overthink things? Have you ever been accused of overthinking? Usually happens when there's no plan or process to follow, or there's no understanding of what you're doing, or maybe you do understand and you just get sidetracked. Now, have you heard of over engineering and dwelling on something and just overthinking? Well, over engineering is building something or planning something that's way overkill. Kind of like building a monster truck to commute to work in a city every day, run over little red Hondas. Now, overthinking can be pretty dangerous. I've done it many times. I'm sure some of us have. You get working on a project, or even just trying to write something or figure out your daily duties, chores, whatever you're doing. You start thinking about what you want to do first in the process and how you want to do it, and you start thinking, and you're thinking, and you're thinking a little more. And you never really come to a good plan. Before you know it, the day's over. Wasted that day. Can be pretty dangerous. Costs you a lot of time. Just recently, I was working and replacing a shower in an old apartment building, and the person I work for is trying to think of different scenarios to get this shower in this really old bathroom, and it's built in the 40s, and it's a tiny little thing. I could stretch my arms across, and one arm can stick out the door. And we got this 36-inch shower trying to get inside there without tearing the wall apart. So, morning's going by, morning, lunchtime. Pretty soon it's afternoon. Oh, got it in there, but not all the way. It didn't fit. So, usually if you've seen some bathrooms, they have a filler wall. So if the bathroom is bigger than the tub or shower unit, you have a filler wall to take up that space. It's something I've done many times. Construction is nothing new to me, and rather than thinking about it, trying to come up with a way to do it, it was right there in front of me. I knew the whole time. Tear out that little filler wall. Put it back in later. Easy enough to do. Took an hour to do it instead of half a day thinking about it. So that was pretty good. That was done. And that's one of the times I've overthought. And I remember doing commercial construction, commercial drywall years ago. This was probably 15, 20 years ago. And I remember this feller. He was a fellow with a big attitude and big ideas. And he was always late for work, or didn't show up. And somebody had the great idea of pairing him up with me to work. Everybody likes Joe. Yeah. So he'd come up with all kinds of excuses. You know, we partner up with someone, we get jobs done quickly, and there's processes. So without your partner, it's hard to get things done in a process that works. He was late one day because the neighbor had a mean cat. The cat attacked his tire and flattened it, and he couldn't come to work. Could have thought of something better than that. Did you overthink that one? And another time, his car was locked in the garage. The power went out. The electric door opener wouldn't open the door, and he couldn't get his car out. Wow, this guy's an overthinker, or he's got a great imagination. So, we could overthink things or have a vivid imagination, and it could look pretty bad for us. We don't get our projects done. We don't get our work done. We make no progress. And like this little feller, we could look pretty foolish. think of different scenarios. Try do things and get in order, and it just slows you down. The answer is right there in front of you most of the time if you just open your eyes and look. Could cost you a lot of time. It could be worse than that. You could look for, and eventually this guy, he was gone. Either he quit or he got fired. Just one of the costs. Now we could look foolish, but we could look foolish in front of God. He's given us a great gift and great knowledge, and we could waste it away by pondering over one little scripture, arguing with someone about a scripture, or just trying to find what it means when you don't really know what it means. And God has the answer right there. It's right there in front of us. God tells us to be wise and use our time wisely. If you would, just turn over to 1 Peter 5 and verse 8. That's 1 Peter 5, verse 8. Be sober, be vigilant, because your adversary, the devil, walks about like a roaring lion, seeking whom he may devour. And this is where it can be costly for our spiritual growth, even our salvation. We start overthinking and coming up with our own ideas or solutions and not depending on God, where He always has that answer for us. It may not be right away, but He's always got an answer for us. This is when Satan comes in. He sees us weak and vulnerable. He's pretty sneaky. I mean, if we look at the rest of the world, we can see plain as day. He just hands them a basket of stuff. Says, here you go, have that. And the people suck it all up. They love it. There's no order in this world anymore. Our government is, I don't even want to go there. But to us, he has to be a little sneakier because he knows we have God. He knows all we have to do is just rely on God and call on Him. So he finds these little niches where he can slip in there and mess with your mind. He may give you a physical ailment, which depends on God. But he's pretty good at messing with our minds. So no matter what it is, whether it's a project we're doing, scripture, or whatever it is, we look at scripture and we can try to guess what the end time is. We can spend all our time trying to figure that out. And where are we going? Nowhere. We're not gaining anything else. We're just wasting time instead of growing. We can't guess when it is. Jesus didn't even know when the time is coming. So if we're not focused, that's when Satan jumps in. We have to be very careful. It's harder to get back on track, especially during a trial. We find ourselves kind of dwelling on this trial and thinking about why this, why haven't I got this, why haven't I gone here, why this, why that. And that's all we think about. Found myself doing it recently. And I didn't gain anything. I didn't learn anything. That answer may be right there in front of me. And I don't see it because all this other stuff is clouding it over. Stuff that doesn't really even matter. God does love us. We can get back on track. He tells us He loves us. Let's turn over, if you would, to Proverbs 8. Proverbs 8, and we'll look at verse 17 and 18. I love those who love me. There's the key right there. All we have to do is seek Him. And those who seek me diligently will find me. There it is, plain as day. The answer is right in front of us. He tells us, riches and honor are with me, enduring riches and righteousness. My fruit is better than gold, yes, than fine gold, and my revenue than choice silver. So all these things that are clouding us and keeping us from that answer or growing is nothing compared to what God has to offer us. And all we have to do is be patient and wait. Keep growing, keep seeking God, and we'll find Him. We'll find this riches and this gold. Now let's turn over, if you would, to Proverbs 2. Proverbs 2 and verse 3. And here it is, just reaffirming that all we have to do is cry out for discernment. Yes, if you cry out for discernment and lift up your voice for understanding, if you seek her as silver and search for her as hidden treasures. See, now he's appealing to our human nature, because, if we're searching for things in this world like there's no tomorrow, well, God is telling us this is no comparison to what He has to offer us. So, kind of a way of expressing. And if you search for His hidden treasures, then you will understand the fear of the Lord and find the knowledge of God. For the Lord gives wisdom, from His mouth come knowledge and understanding. So we don't have to be confused, especially about Scripture and our lives as Christians. All we have to do is call on God. He has the answer for us. He stores up sound wisdom for the upright. He is a shield to those who walk uprightly. And there's the key to Satan's attack. He's our shield. All we have to do is seek Him diligently. He guards the paths of the justice and preserves the way of His saints. Always, in all situations, we have to keep a sound mind and always seek God for the answers. My point is, sometimes we can't see what is plain as day in front of us. And it'll take some time to get answers, especially when we put other things first. We can't be distracted, because sometimes we lean on our own understanding. It is a distraction. Our own desires are distractions. We have to make sure we don't lean on our own understanding, but to see God's answer. It's right in front of us. It's something to think about. We have to always be on guard and always keep a sound mind. So think about it, but don't overthink about it.